All right. Well, hello, everybody. And today we are going to be celebrating Thanksgiving a little bit early. This time around, I think last year we did all Pinot Noirs. This time around, we're going to be doing something a little bit different, in which we're going to be going through many more of wines that are both similar, but also just well, Thanksgiving wines. Now, with that, let's see. So I'll make sure I can actually see people. All right. So, the wines that we're going to be having today, we're going to kind of go through the flavor profiles of them. So, the first wine that we're going to be having is an Austrian Gruner Veltliner. We'll go a little bit more in detail, but this is going to be your high acid, light bodied wine that is going to go with the vegetables. So, it's one of the reasons why I had suggested, say, like green bean casserole or other types of roasted green squash type things. The Moulin Beaujolais is, so if you like Pinot, Beaujolais also might be up your alley if you haven't had it before. It has many of the same kind of light, lower tannins, and much more in those red fruit areas. But again, it's going to be it's something that Pinot Noir goes great with turkey. So does Beaujolais. Next, we'll be going to the Burgundian Pinot Noir. And, because there is a very big difference between your old world versus your new world. And that's why I wanted to at least have a comparison of Pinot Noirs and how they act with Thanksgiving versus, versus the others. But the Beaujolais should also work pretty well. So let's just go ahead and get started on our Gruner Veltliner. So the one that we have here is our Kremser Wachtberg out of Kermstal. So as we're looking at this, this one is actually a little bit more yellowish than I was expecting. Usually your Gruners are very, very light, almost to like a silvery green. This has a little bit more of a yellow hue to it. Now, as you kind of see from the screen, it is what it's typically is dry, crisp, with again those flavors of green apple, lime, and white pepper. So let's go ahead and give this thing a swirl and a sniff and see if we're actually getting that on the nose. Because, well, again, we're trying to really, this isn't just food and wine. We're definitely wanting to evaluate these things to see, well, how close are they to what the typical Gruner Veltliner is. Now, there is definitely that green apple and almost pear. Anyone else getting, like, are they detecting any lime or the white pepper? Not quite sure.
Definitely tasting the pear.
Yeah. Not sure if I'm getting the white pepper on the nose, but white pepper is also, it's a little hard with a high acid wine to get that on the nose. I'm really hoping that on the palate is where we're going to notice it. So on that note, let's go ahead and give this thing a try. Cheers. Hmm. How's everyone like the palate? Here I'm getting more of the pear and the lime, which, you know, still kind of makes sense. Still not sure if I'm really getting any white pepper from this. Oh, okay. Let it linger. Like, after you drink, let it just kind of sit there on your tongue for a good 3 to 5 seconds. And then, you know, kind of, you know, taste it again. I think that's where the pepper is, but it is definitely not, like, you know, in your face. But, well, as we always do with these, guess next is our food and wine pairing. So again, if you do have any foods out there that are just kind of shining a spark, and hopefully someone has some either grilled vegetables. You know, Gruner is one of the only wines that's specifically listed to pair with asparagus. You know, which is why I also really thought that you know, a green bean casserole being a traditional Thanksgiving meal, that it would also go really well with it. So hopefully if you have some of that too, well, this should go really well with that. Well, I do see some new people out in the audience. If you don't know the proper way to do like food and wine interaction, I call it the sip, chew, sip method, where you take a sip of your wine first, just to kind of prime your palate. Then you take a bite of your food and chew it around. But before you take that last swallow, wash it down with a second drink of wine. That's where you should see a little bit of that magic happen. Oh, time to dig in. Oh yeah, I was right on. I mean, I also make some really good green bean casserole, but this, and between that mushroom interaction, which I actually hope that it'll also go well with the Pinots, but this, it really kind of brings out that a little bit of that green note, and also, you know, if you've added garlic all of a sudden really pops.
So we have honey baked ham, and this is pairing quite well with the brown sugar of the ham. And then we also have like a bacon and broccoli, like a salad kind of thing. And that's actually pulling out the fat of the bacon. So it's kind of nice going back and forth.
Huh. I was hoping that it was going to pair well with the apple Stollen. I don't know if you've ever had Stollen before. I highly recommend it if you haven't. It's a German, I don't know, winter Christmas bread thing. uh, yeah, it's like an upgraded fruitcake, but filled with, instead of just like a bunch of diced fruit, it has like, layers of almost like a fruit puree in there. And yeah, the one I had was an apple stolen. And I don't know, maybe it's because the apple is more like almost like a red delicious, or something to that effect, while this having more of that like green note, like pear and quince. It isn't quite pairing well with it. But I'm very interested about the ham doing so well.
Okay, so we've tried it with all the things, I think. We have a squash.
It's butternut squash, cranberries. It's a roasted butternut squash with cranberries, raisins, feta, and toasted pecans.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pairing really nicely. So are the Brussels sprouts. I haven't had the green bean casserole.
Pretty
It
good.
works well. Yeah.
I don't think.
But I think the cranberry sauce even was kind of a hit too.
Yeah,
Totally. Again, yeah, totally.
but this particular cranberry sauce has like a lot of nutmeg and cloves in it,
It
Oh,
sounds
yeah.
so it's almost like apple pie wine.
Well, I mean, and again, this thing is just pairing well with. It's either just pairing okay, or pairing well. But I haven't really had anything that doesn't like it's hitting that like discordant note, which again is kind of really leaning to this just being a really good just food wine.
I didn't try it.
Mushroom soda? Oh,
Yeah.
that's good.
Good.
Yeah, sure. You want a teeny little?
No, I got it.
Oh, nice. I had some with my turkey. And it's really nice. Well done, Sarah.
All right, so we will move on to our second wine of the night, which is our Moulin Beaujolais. There's really four within Beaujolais. There's four different regions, like sub-regions. Really, the only you pretty much have two choices. Either you want something that's a little bit more like bold, or you want something that's very light and kind of subtle. My rule of thumb for Beaujolais, if you want one that is much more bold, just remember the letter M. So it's for the two different portions of Beaujolais, which is Moulin au Vent. So just Moulin, like of the wind or at the wind. Au Vent, it should be this wind. And then Bourgogne. So those two, just remember, starts with the M, bolder. If you want something else, it's not going to be one of those two. At least that was my kind of cheat notes for it. So, Moulin, or the Beaujolais. Well, we've got light, pretty fruity red wine, with lots of red fruit like cherry and raspberry, as you can kind of see from the picture there. Subtle earth notes. Usually that kind of comes from a little bit of the oaking aging process, which kind of lends into it's a little bit earthy, but we should also be detecting a bit of like leather. And this, again, because of the those bright red fruit notes, should be the thing that goes well with our well, things with cranberry sauce and the yams. So the one that we have here is our Domaine du Moulin au Vent. Yeah, it's actually, but it is imported by Jean-Claude Debaune, which is one of the, kind of leading negociants and importers. Especially, well, I'll be referencing Beaujolais Nouveau Day a little bit later on, and Debaune and Deboeuf are like the two main names within that little escapade. So let's go ahead and give it a pour. Just making sure of the year on this. Oh, 2021. It's like right up here at the top. So as we look at this one, I'm gonna get our white sheet of paper to kind of look at our color. Now, because you can actually see through your finger through the core, and almost in detail, I mean, this is definitely a light ruby. And actually for a 21, it's still holding up pretty well. I don't really see a whole lot of rim variation near the edge. It does have a little bit, which, I mean, for a light wine, you do kind of expect that its life expectancy in bottle is not going to be as much as, say, like a left bank Bordeaux with like a Cabernet or Cab Franc or Merlot. But let's give this thing a swirl and a sniff and see if we get the red fruit and subtle earthy notes. To me, I'd say it's a little. I wasn't gonna say, yeah. It smells like a cherry cordial. Like there's this like hint of almost like a chocolate, but there's this like, but it's that liqueur, almost like I don't want to say sting, but yeah, it's like a nose sting from liqueur. But that could also be, also in kind of interpreted as almost like a leather. But this is also why one of the things that I like about Beaujolais versus Pinot Noir is that one of the things that you're not really detecting is that kind of mushroomy, loamy, like soil that Pinot Noir is pretty well known for. So let's go ahead and give this thing a taste and see if we stick at those same red fruits and whatnot. What's funny is that this, I would almost say, has more of a pepper note than our last wine did. Like it was almost one of the first things on the sides of my tongue. I was getting that kind of bitter, white peppery note to it. Anyone else get anything different? Oh, so we've got strawberry and cherry notes. Okay, that are pretty strong in this. Strawberry, interesting. Okay. Me, I'm. It's a little. Well, I say it's almost kind of like the middle point between cherry and strawberry, because strawberry is usually, you know, very cold weather. Cherry starts to get more towards like warmer weather, riper grapes. Right in the middle of that, which is really, you know, that red note that is kind of quintessential to both Gamay, Beaujolais, and Pinot Noir, which is cranberry. And that's what you really kind of get, is that kind of like bitterish red fruit. But because it's lacking that, you know, more complex note of like that mushroom and soil, you know, that's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't prefer it to Pinot Noir, because it's missing some of those other complexities. But I don't know, I kind of like this as just a good little drinking wine. But let's go ahead and see how this acts out with the various foods out there, and hopefully we've got some winners. So I picked up this, I want to say, culinary monstrosity from Costco. It's from Vicky's Kitchen, which is, it's essentially a turkey breast that they kind of like flayed open and put stuffing, like with turkey sausage inside of, and kind of rolled that up, and then gave you this you know, kind of packet of apple and cranberry chutney with it. And you know, it's kind of like your one-stop shop for all three of those things of, you know, turkey, stuffing, and cranberry sauce. And wow, it's, I don't know if it's just the cranberries in this, but it's going really well. The only thing that I'm a little disappointed in is that it's not really bringing out a lot of the herbs. So maybe I have to wait for the Pinot Noir for this.
So it's turkey breast with turkey sausage in it?
Yeah, it's like stuffing, you know, that has turkey sausage, you know, mixed into it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, it's an interesting way of getting your entire Thanksgiving dinner in like one little easy package that, you know, cooks in the oven for an hour. Oh, and you're doing the cranberry goat cheese? Oh yeah. Now
It's so good.
is it now? Which part is coming out? Is it the cranberry red fruit, or is it the cinnamon? Because I'm pretty sure if it's the one that I think it is, it has that like little bit of like a hint of cinnamon in there.
I'm not like picking up the cinnamon at all, but it's the one from Trader Joe's, and like it hits really hard with the fruit, but then the fatty of the goat cheese comes after. It's like a really nice experience.
Awesome. Team Foodie, got any culinary winners out there? Oh, I think they're having their own little private conversation.
They need like a clicker.
Yeah. But most people still have wine in their glass, so I'm not sure if they're enjoying it or not.
This is really good.
Have you had Beaujolais before? Like
Yeah, of course
real
I've had.
grown up Beaujolais instead of and not just like the nouveau stuff.
We were in Lyon. Had Beaujolais everywhere.
Oh, fair.
But no, this is actually one of the best ones I've had in the States.
Yeah, it was pretty highly rated. So I was like, yeah, I always cross check between user reviews within Total Wine, but also then cross check over to Vivino, make sure that everybody over there also says that yeah, this is pretty decent for a Beaujolais.
I need to start doing that because I'm on this like weird phase right now where I look at the Total Wine ratings and just blindly go into it.
No.
Actually, the next one that we have, the Septembre, like that actually was one of the ones I tried a few weeks ago.
Ah.
So do you remember those cornichons I showed you a few weeks ago on
Yeah,
like the weird pairing list?
Yeah.
Mustard is what comes out when you drink it with this and pair it with that.
Ah. Mustard. Speaking of, wine and whatnot, at some point I need to go drop you off a bottle of the Yas port.
You do. Plan another wine night. A bunch of like 2012, 2014s from my grandfather.
All right. And well, I need an excuse to do the one thing that I'm doing every year right now, because I've got these 3 bottles from Alpha Omega. That's like this particular vintage from a very particular vineyard. That because I tasted like 10 different Cabernets that they have from very different vineyards, and this Sleeping Lady vineyard was the one that just made me weak in the knees. So I bought 3 bottles, like, there were futures on the spot. And I've been using my Coravin to get like, a 2-ounce taste of it. And I'm starting to do that like every year to really kind of taste, when it's ready. But I'll bring that along and give you guys a taste of it too.
Heck yeah, man.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and move on to our wine number 3. Which is our Burgundian Pinot Noir. This is the one where I started saying that I won't say I apologize for the AI art. But yeah, it gets a little weird when you tell it strawberries and cherries in a forest, and mushrooms in a forest. It starts having cherries growing out of very odd places. So, your Burgundian Pinot Noir. I mean, it is Burgundy, France, and these are going to be much more in that cherry and strawberry kind of note, with again those earthy notes of mushroom and forest floor. So that's what we should be noticing, is that kind of that, I don't even know what, it's almost like an umami note that these have. But those are going to be that, and this is why I harp on Pinot Noir as the Thanksgiving wine, because it really matches that the savoriness and flavors of both turkey and stuffing, and at the same time with those red notes also hitting those the cranberry notes within, cranberry sauce. So the wine that we have is our Edouard Delaunay 2022 Septembre. Now, as we look at this guy, I'd say that, as you're kind of having your finger underneath of it, in some ways, I almost want to say that it's a little bit lighter than our Beaujolais. Not by much, but noticeable. So I would think that this is going to be a little bit, it's going to be a bit lighter in the tannins. We're going to have a little bit more red fruit than, which is on the cranberry strawberry side, versus, leaning more towards the cherry. But let's go ahead and give this thing a swirl and a sniff and see what we get. Yeah, that's kind of confirming my suspicions for this. I'm definitely getting the, that strawberry cranberry. Yeah, because I wouldn't even say this is cherry at all, because it doesn't have that thickness that you would really kind of get from cherry. But there is that kind of wet forest floor on this as well. I don't really know if you can really smell mushroom in here. But I mean, that could be part of the damp forest floor. But yeah, but now I would be expecting more. Yeah, definitely not what I'm getting from here. Yeah, it's mostly red fruit. Almost a little bit of almost like a chalk. But enough with the teasing. Let's go ahead and give this thing a taste. So, cheers. So the first thing to note is it is definitely lighter than our Beaujolais, which is a little bit surprising, because Beaujolais is usually lighter than most Pinots. Not saying that's bad, just our palate might be a little exhausted, from the level that we hit it at with the Beaujolais versus coming down a little bit for this Pinot. So it might, I'd say, take a drink of water, get something in your mouth to kind of reset it. Yeah. But I wouldn't, not gonna say strawberry. This is more cranberry, maybe into raspberry. But there's the mushroom. I'm definitely detecting that kind of savory, meaty note that's in there.
Like this, to me, this does not have as much tannin as the previous wine, but it still has like a similar acid content.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like the one thing that's like missing, because that was like the mouthfeel I was looking for after the past wine.
There's a fun little spice note that I'm getting right on the end of this. That's actually, no, it's not spice. It's almost like a mint.
Like when we first started drinking this, I was getting like a little bit of vanilla,
Mm-hmm.
but like now that's like completely gone away. Like as we've like had a few sips of this.
Yeah, I was going to say that this is seen like a slight amount of oak, but I mean, it's almost, not enough to make notice of. I mean, I'd still call this, like it's moderately complex in terms of, that it isn't just, a bunch of red fruit and, or aged fruit. This has some different characteristics in there. But I like this like mint and almost like a hint of spice. But I don't think I left mine open for a little bit to breathe, and I'm not detecting any vanilla myself from this. But let's go ahead and let's see how it works with the food. So dive on in.
This with the honey baked ham is phenomenal.
Oh, it's also going well with the Turkenstein.
Also, the table favorite right now is raspberries with this. Like it just berry all around.
Yeah. But just fresh red raspberries?
Yeah, like exactly.
Yeah, this is still, I mean, again, well, I'm not surprised that it went well with the ham, because I mean that's really its, Pinot Noir's niche is that crossover between turkey and ham. because they're very close. The other things that you can pair well with both are like a rosé. So, where it's on the very light end of, pretty much you're in that little space of, very, very light red. And yeah, it really kind of works. Considering that, turkey, and ham is kind of considered that middle of the road. It's not chicken and it's not steak, or like the red meats. So it's that weird little middle spot, and well, your weird little middle spot of wine, also kind of, well, it's kind of going to be the thing that pairs well with it. But is this something that I'm going to, go search for outside of celebratory Thanksgiving meals? No. But for those that really do like Pinot Noir, you're really wanting to look for, much more almost like a mushroom-based meal, especially like risotto. Risotto is like the king of Pinot Noir things to have, like pairing. Because and risotto's great because then you start being able to play around with, well, what can I add to risotto to really hit the other notes within your Pinot Noir, which could be red fruit, maybe in a little, if you're going pork, a little bit of bacon. Team Foodie, any favorites out there for our third wine, the Burgundian Pinot Noir? Or are you on the Pinot Noir?
I think they have us muted.
Oh yeah. No.
I'm big fun.
I think our favorite, at least on this side of the table, pairing with this wine is the chocolate cake pie.
Like a chocolate mousse.
But it goes very, very well with the turkey and cranberry sauce.
And
also.
and the pumpkin pie.
And the pumpkin pie.
Yeah, the nutmeg and pumpkin really pops.
It does pop.
Oh, the
Okay.
turkey has like a mushroom thing in it
The
too.
turkey and mushroom with
yeah.
that Pinot Noir was very good. I thought.
Okay, that's interesting that you said about the pumpkin pie, because now. Do you remember which part of it kind of really came out? Was it the spice?
Yes.
It was the spice. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so that would then lead me to suspect that that this has seen at least some French oak, because that French oak is what's going to really put out that baking spice note within
It's like a hint of cedar in the nose then?
Cedar.
Yeah.
Yes. And cinnamon.
So French oak brings out cedar and cinnamon too.
Cinnamon.
Oh, you guys are getting cedar on the nose?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ah, okay. Well, you just prompted Corey to go get the pumpkin pie.
Okay.
Pumpkin pie is not a verb. There's a hand for cream in there. If anybody wants cream.
Yeah, I can see that working. And yeah, I just tried it with some pumpkin spice brioche, and yeah, it also brought it out. Wow, this is again, it's one. Wow, this really is the Swiss Army knife of Thanksgiving meals. It just kind of goes with everything Thanksgiving, right? Even to the point of dessert. Huh. Well, while Corey is going in and raiding the fridge for his pumpkin pie, I'm going to move on to our last wine of the night, which is our Carneros Pinot Noir. Now, both, Carneros being it's an odd little region of wine, because when you say Carneros, it really means it could be either part of Napa or part of Sonoma. Both own a piece of, or call themselves part of, owning Carneros. A lot of the things that Carneros is known for is pretty much your champagne grapes. Mostly Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and a little bit of Pinot Meunier, because they make a lot of what would be considered champagne, but sparkling wine done in the method champenois. Now, again, much like our last wine, this is going to have those red fruits, raspberry, but because it's a little bit warmer here, we should also be detecting a little bit of almost blackberry, along with those same kind of earthy notes of mushroom and forest floor. And again, it's that acidity is going to fight with the fat of the turkey, light tannins, so it doesn't really need a lot of strong meat proteins to bind with those, and those savory notes should be pretty good in here. So the wine that we have for our Carneros is our 2019 Etude Pinot Noir. So as we look at this one, now the first thing that I notice on our view is that this is our darkest of the night. It's still light in comparison to most red wines, but especially compared to our last two, it's a little bit more shadowed in terms of like holding your finger under that core. Let's go ahead and give it a swirl and a sniff. Much more powerful on the nose than our last one. Last one was kind of reserved. This one is this one's much more of a force to be reckoned with. But yeah, this I'm definitely getting much more of that cherry, raspberry. I don't know if I would actually say that it's got blackberry in the nose. Yeah, the closest that I would come is dark cherry. But I don't think I would be going into dark fruit for this. As much as our AI friend that created my presentation says there's supposed to be blackberry in here. But I do smell chocolate. Yeah, just a little bit of dark chocolate, which to me I think is going to denote, that there's going to be some hint of American oak. So I'm hoping that there's not going to be like a strong vanilla note in this one, but because I'm getting the chocolate on the nose, we might see some vanilla within the palate. So let's go ahead and give this thing a taste. Cheers. Well, this is definitely new world compared to all three of our old world wines. Like this is much more fruit forward than any of the last three that we had. Though here, I'm still getting much more cherry and raspberry. I wouldn't quite call it dark cherry. I'm definitely not going to put it in the cranberry camp. Yeah, this is right smack in the kind of like just moderate range of red, of like red fruit, which is like that raspberry and cherry. Though because it's kind of like more new world and fruit forward, I'm a little curious as to if anyone else is detecting those earthy notes.
We're not over here.
What's that?
We're not really capturing any earthy notes over here, sadly.
It's yeah. I mean, it's kind of interesting that I'm almost kind of wondering if maybe a California Pinot might not be, well, I mean, I guess we'll try it with the wine, or with the food, but we should have gone north to like Willamette Valley, which is where like the popular New World Pinot Noirs come from.
I think if you give this wine a few more years and it like calms down a little bit, it could improve.
Well, but it tastes excellent. It just it reminds me too much of Mayoni, where it's almost like a Pinot Noir that is trying to be a Merlot.
No, we definitely agree. I just think there's like too many tastes like screaming in the wine right now, and they all just need to like calm down a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think this is just, California is just a little too warm for like even Carneros, which is kind of like one of the, more cold areas of, both Sonoma and Napa. That this is I don't want to say it's overly ripe, but it's definitely, much more. It doesn't have those, those what I would consider the earthy, mushroomy, like notes that almost just kind of punch you in the face. That
Curious how
what's
like
that?
a Monterey Pinot would do here, like a little bit colder temperature.
Yeah, I'd be curious about a Monterey. But again, I think last year we actually had a Willamette, and that one did pretty well. Yeah, this is. I mean, it's good in its own in its own way. You know, it's got a good mouthfeel, but it's also, it's not overly complex. And yeah, it's just kind of, I'd almost say it's like a really heavy version of our second, you know, wine, the Beaujolais. You know, where it's all fruit and none of the, you know, those other subtle notes of leather, mushroom, soil. Yeah.
Like missing the things that you buy a Pinot for.
Yeah. Which again, that's why I kind of put it in almost that. See, but Meiomi is, you know, I think it's made farther north. But this one was actually rated pretty high, which is what confuses me. That, you know, for a Pinot, this, like I said, it's good to just drink, but if you're expecting a Pinot, this is going to be disappointing. But
I will say though, like as we start pairing it with food, it holds up very well.
oh yeah, that was what I was, you know, because it does have, you know, a lot more power behind it, you know, because what it doesn't have in complexity, it has in strength. So yeah, I can't wait to see what this thing tastes like with the food. So, well, let's get to it. Okay, I think this wins on the savoriness. Like I just had it with the Turkenstein, and it like the cranberry glaze to it was okay, but the savoriness within the, like, those savory herbs in the stuffing really kind of came out. Huh. Yeah, this is that was kind of weird. The savoriness, because again, I was thinking this was just going to be like a 2-string guitar, where, you know, there wasn't much going on, but the fact that it brought out the savoriness has me rethinking that this might have some extra notes that just are being kind of, you know, shouted over by the fruit.
It's like a steakhouse Pinot.
Yeah, like I said, this is almost like Meiomi, because Meiomi is like this, where it's, you know, like I said, a Pinot Noir trying to play the part of a Merlot. So I just tried it with some tiramisu to see if I could pull out some more of those tannic chocolate notes, and it wasn't really hitting. So you know, what I was detecting on the nose definitely wasn't on the palate. which kind of makes me, think that this really hasn't seen very much oak. If it did see oak, it would have been much more on the French side, because again, it has none of the vanilla and like dark chocolate notes that you would expect from American oak.
What does this do to your Turkenstein?
Well, yeah, that was like one of the first things that I had said, was that it didn't really do much for it really didn't do much for the turkey, because turkey's just kind of a base, but it didn't really interact with the cranberry like glaze. But what it did was it interacted really like surprisingly well with the herbs within the stuffing.
Like, so we're doing like turkey slices, and it has some weirdness with like the actual turkey, just the turkey itself, without all the chatter from the other things.
Really? Okay, so what's it doing?
Well, there's mixed reviews at the table right now. Some people are like, it tastes like turkey lunch meat now. The other people are like saying it tastes like good turkey.
Good turkey. Are you serving them bad turkey?
Okay, I think it tastes more good, or like more turkey.
You're not serving them turkey loaf, are you?
Oh, it's turkey slices with a little bit of brown sugar.
Okay.
Roasted turkey.
But it's not like Sara Lee's poor people turkey loaf.
No, it's we had a company, the same company that did the honey baked ham did the turkey too.
Ah, okay. Don't get me wrong. I will eat the hell out of a turkey loaf. I love turkey loaf myself, but
I don't think I've ever had that. What is that?
what, turkey loaf?
It's like meatloaf with like the egg and everything?
No, I think it's just it's like all the turkey parts that get discarded get processed into like a bread pan and then cooked into this like uniform loaf of turkey stuff that is then coated in turkey gravy.
So we have like actual turkey.
Huh?
Turkey,
Okay.
like roasted turkey.
But no, I'm like I said, the part of me that's evaluating this as a Pinot Noir doesn't like it. But the other part of me that's just like, how well does this taste and go with food, really likes it. And it's kind of weird and conflicting. With that professional side of me that's like, it's this shouldn't be good, but again, then there's that lizard brain that's like, yes, good wine, good. Team Foodie, you got any winners over there with our Etude? I think they're busy.
I get the struggle though, because you're trying to be a traditionalist, but at the same time you're like, oh, I actually really enjoy this with food.
Oh yeah. Well, but that's always been my thing is, like, I don't know if it's going to ever, give me bad marks as a critic. Is that I don't like evaluating wine just for wine's sake. I want to know how this thing interacts with food, and then also what it's best going to do with food. But that's also partially that influence from Temecula, where you're having 2 straight days of almost like perfect pairings of food and wine to really get your mind into that, into that mindset of, yeah, food and wine. This is the French and Italian philosophy of wine. That the two should always be together.
They're made to be together.
Yeah.
Did you guys? Did you guys have any good like cheese pairings with this wine?
No, I think we forego the cheese because we had too much other stuff. I'm still looking at my plate, and there's a ton of food here that I'll probably have to eat after the session's over. But lastly, just as a reminder to everybody, because we're actually just before, a week and a half before Thanksgiving, but what's coming up next week, next Thursday, for those of you that want to have some little weird fun, it is Beaujolais Nouveau Day. It's always celebrated on the third Thursday of November. Now, we've had the grown-up version of Beaujolais today. The stuff that comes out of Beaujolais Nouveau is made in a very, I want to say it's a very different fashion than most wine, but like Beaujolais itself is also most of the time made in the same kind of carbonic maceration method. But when it's very new, the notes that come from it are, you get this like bright cherry and raspberry, or bright cherry and cranberry, but you also get, because of that newness of the carbonic maceration, it comes out tasting of cinnamon and bubblegum. As I'd kind of mentioned before with our Beaujolais, the cap on there said Jean-Claude Debonne. Now, usually the two, if you go to like any wine store third Thursday, you're going to find Debonne and Debuff as your two choices. But last year I was actually surprised by a third choice, which is the Pardon et Fils, which is like Pardon and Sons, which are also known for making very good wine. They had a Beaujolais Nouveau that was available, and I will say that it was the first one that I tried and actually drank the entire bottle instead of 3/4 of it going down the drain. Because Debonne and Debuff, well, I mean, Beaujolais Nouveau itself is, it was made as like a marketing gimmick, that they make this stuff and you drink it because it's pretty much, as soon as it's harvested, they make this stuff and essentially bottle it up, send it out. And you're supposed to drink this from now until May, when they actually release the whatever that current vintage is. So, but has it ever been good? In my opinion, no. But like I said, if you are out there and you see, and you're going there for third Thursday, and you see a Pardon et Fils, grab it and try it. But also, grab a Debuff or Debonne and try it next to it to see, if you notice the I want to say quality difference that I did. And on that note, I'll go ahead and we will sign out for the night. Well, at least from YouTube. So I am Ubersom, and I will see you later. Bok, bok.